Hey everybody, welcome back to another movie review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. As I said, just repeatedly, we're going to be pumping out movie reviews left and right, and we have yet another one, and a special one, because um, I wrote off MCU films quite a while back with Doctor Strange, and I, just gave my reasons why. If you want to see my reasons why, I'll leave links in the description box just so you guys can see my reasons for why I kind of left Marvel films. But the short answer is that they just kind of act on the same ideas and don't really branch out into any new feelings or auras. It's just kind of has become factory work almost at this point. But I made the exception with this because of the obvious reasons of the weight that this film is bearing, and that film obviously being Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is the sequel to the quite the hit that was the first Black Panther. Once again, directed and I believe written by Ryan Coogler. Um, and as you know, with any, I think at this point, with this when this review comes out, I think that most people will probably have seen the movie. So I'm gonna be addressing some spoilers here, just so I can have my review more fleshed out. So the story is set, obviously, a year after T'Challa's passing, and the film explores each character, particularly Angela Bassett's character and Shuri, played by Letitia Wright, as they explore their ways of handling grief in the loss of of their of their king, and how they move forward as a nation while having to deal with um, the rising of another nation, which is of an underwater nation led by Namor, who is not trying to be Aquaman, and he wishes to wage war on the Americans, and the Wakandans are trying their best to keep the peace, while uh, Shuri is trying to find her own place within the changing landscapes of Wakanda. Um, and we see her eventually having to rise to an expected place. So it's kind of the basis of how the film plays out. And um, one of the few things that I found interesting about Wakanda Forever was its attempt at being bold. I feel that the attitude is a little bit different. It's much more, not much more, slightly more sincere than other MCU films. It obviously murks back into similar waters more times than none. Um, and the performances are actually a little bit more stronger than I expected them to be. Letitia Wright and Angela Bassett being the standouts. Um, and I feel that the focus, I feel, was actually an interesting choice to have Angela Bassett kind of be the center of it all for a bulk of the film, and then of course handing it off to Shuri at times. I felt that it was an interesting step, or an interesting place to put the story, and I felt it was appropriate. Um, what Wakanda Forever doesn't do, unfortunately, and it's something that I knew was going to happen, and there was just no way of avoiding it, and that is that the film fails in justifying its own existence outside of a tribute, which, by the way, just the tribute itself, I just felt was, and it's kind of my overall thoughts of the entire film, which is that it just felt very clunky and very rushed and very how do I say it, like, just spotty, I guess, because the film is acting as a bridge and not necessarily on a level of sincerity, because it feels more like filler. It feels like the film, it feels like there's a film that was missing in order to get to this piece, and the film that we have here just doesn't really have much of a real justification for things outside of being filler and feeling like it just has to explain a lot of things rather than actually doing a lot of things. And for a bulk of the film, I just felt like I was listening half the time. A lot of time I was just kind of sitting back like this. For it just is like the film was like constantly trying to talk to me and say, look, this is why we're here. This is why this film needed to happen. This is why this and this had to happen. And the whole time I'm just sitting there going, okay. I mean, it's not enough, but okay, you know. Um, and I just felt like, I feel that there was a film that was missing, you know. It felt like this was supposed to be Black Panther 3, not necessarily Black Panther 2. And of course, obviously that was, you know, obviously they had to work with what they had to work with, but it really shows that that kind of transition that that type of seamless transition that they were looking for just was never ever going to be present. And I knew that upon hearing Chadwick's passing and thinking about how they would move forward. It just was not going to be smooth. And the film is not smooth. It feels very clunky. It feels very spotty, and again, very awkward, because you're asking yourself the entire time, what is this film trying to do? And what is this film's divine purpose? And it's trying to explore grief, but it explores grief in pretty expected ways. It's nothing incredibly, you know, moving or deep. It's rather, you know, shallow. And it plays out pretty much as all MCU films do, except that this one is longer, and I feel that scratching some time off would have helped a lot, because again, the movie likes to explain a lot of things and not do a lot of things, and I felt that's what made me honestly a little bit bored. And I think that the movie has good intentions. I absolutely do. I don't think anyone's going to deny that it has good intentions. But I feel that its justifications are just not strong, and you get a film that doesn't feel earned. It just feels like a part 3. Again, it feels like we're missing something, and what we're missing is T'Challa, and the film can never escape that missing element, or rather find a way to move on from said element, because the movie itself is addressing grief. But it's funny how in addressing grief, you know, all this kind of stuff, it, like, as the outside force, you know, as the audience, you yourself can't escape that. You're just kind of sitting in that question of why is this made, you know, like where is the bigger purpose? Where's that point where you go, okay, now we're here. Now we can move forward. Now we feel that we have, you know, we have moved on from T'Challa in a meaningful way, and we've, you know, transitioned to Shuri, you know, in a way that feels earned. Which, by the way, you know, her motivations, or just her attitude as Black Panther, is also fairly questionable. You know, her seeking of vengeance, and just the hulky, you know, just like, oh, well, you know, she changed at the last moment sort of thing. Like, it hits unexpected beats, and, you know, it's longer, and it just kind of reminded me again why I left the MCU, because it's not operating on anything meaningful. And the film does try in some aspects, and it does earn some of its sincerity, particularly with its ending. I think the ending was outside the mid-credit scene, which I felt just kind of just botched the emotions of the ending. The introducing T'Challa's son, I thought that was just kind of a ridiculous thing to do. But you know, it does have its small moments of sincerity, but it can never ever answer the question of, why was this made? Why did this need to happen? And, you know, could we make, I mean, we can move forward without T'Challa. Like, the movie can never ever answer that, and, you know, really cement itself in a place where we can move forward, and we can, you know, we don't need to rely on such things. As a sequel to Black Panther, it's a very clunky piece, and it just kind of, you know, acts as like a filler piece, like, you know, because really all you need to know about Wakanda Forever is that Shuri is the new Black Panther. That's very much all you need to know, and that the mother's dead, and that's it. that's it. There's nothing else that you have to really um, see. There's not much meaning. There's not much to the film, and I think that's what really irks me about it, because I was hoping that something like this, especially with the loss of Chadwick, I thought that they would actually operate on a much more um, in a much more operate in different capacities. But it tries, but it just sits in waters that I've seen time and time again, and it just never justifies its own existence, and that is to me the most troubling thing about the film. It just never can actually answer that question of why I'm here. And when it tries, it's just the results are just eh, just eh. So so it's not a bad film. It's far from it. It's not a bad film. It's just a it's just another MCU film. I mean, it's just another MCU film. An MCU film that has a little bit of a hard time justifying itself. So, so that's my thoughts on it. And I wanted to like it. I really did. I wanted to return to the MCU in a much more happier and excited feeling. But I just was again presented a film, or presented an example of why I left in the first place. So, yeah, it had good intentions. Absolutely. I don't think the tribute was that well orchestrated, and I don't think that it worked. Um, but it just showed me again why I left in the first place. So, so that's my thoughts on Wakanda Forever. You guys let me know your thoughts on it. I'm probably going to get downvoted, I know, but it's just my opinion. Um, but you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that is it for my thoughts on Black Panther. And that's it. That's it. And hope you guys are safe out there. It's starting to be winter season out here, so just be careful with the flu, obviously with COVID and all that. And that's it for me. If you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.